Hello. So, good morning to all the students and today's resource person, Professor Dr. V.M. Hilge sir. I am Saili Gore, Faculty of Economics Department, C Cyber, Kolhapur. I welcome you all for our third foundation class. So, I am happy to introduce to all the students the senior most C Cyber faculty. He is presently the trustee and academic advisor of C-Cyber. He is one of the founder member of C-Cyber in 1976. He worked closely with the founder director of C-Cyber, late Professor Dr. A.D. Shinde. Dr. Hilge sir is doctorate in economics and has undergone FEP at IIM Ahmedabad. In C-Cyber, he served in different academic capacities such as chairman of MBA program, director of C-Cyber, and presently the academic advisor of the institute. He is right resource person to highlight the educational philosophy of C-Cyber. I, on behalf of all the students, welcome him for today's session and request him to start his presentation. Thank you. And over to you, Dr. V.M. Hilge, sir.
So thank you, Saili madam. Good morning, all the participants or MSc Quantitative Economics first year students. I welcome for this address. It is termed as a foundation lecture for MSc Quantitative Economics students. I am Dr. V.M. Hilge. I am in this institute for more than last 45 years. We started this institute in two rooms. Professor A.D. Shinde started this institute in two rooms, outhouse of Shalini Palace, and we joined him in his work of educating our young generations coming from the Mofizal area, coming from the weaker sections. So once again, I welcome you for this lecture. The topic given by Dr. Sharmaji, who is the head of the Department of Economics in Cyber, is education philosophy of cyber. It is a education philosophy of cyber. As I have pointed out, Professor A.D. Shinde, late Professor A.D. Shinde, he did not, in a concrete term, narrated or written what is the philosophy of this institute or what is the philosophy behind starting different postgraduate courses or starting this Chhatrapati Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research Kolhapur, known as Cyber. But through his actions, through his behavior, through his efforts to develop different programs, different courses, program and courses are one and the same for our purpose. So different programs and different courses, especially the postgraduate courses and diploma courses were started by Cyber. In 1976, when Professor Shinde was practicing chartered accountant and advisor to nearly 20-25 sugar factories and an income tax practitioner, being a teacher's son, he found that there is a new era in education has come. And this new era was the management education was slowly emerging in metropolitan cities like Bangalore, Calcutta, and Mumbai. And three IIMs were there. One was Indian Institute of Management, Calcutta, Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad, and Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. These three IIM courses were institutes were established by the central government, giving them full autonomy. Objective was to organize and to manage the businesses. The trained, skilled managers are required. And the management thought has come from the army, has come from the developed European countries and developed uh, America, USA. But in in cities like Kolhapur, Solapur, or in a taluka places, there were no management education, or people were hardly knowing about MBA, were they hardly knowing about MCA, they were hardly knowing about the environment management. So he thought that when he was thinking, he was also a professor in two, three colleges as a visiting professor and part-time professor, being a chartered accountant. He was teaching accountancy. He found that the students coming from the rural areas, most of them are from weaker sections, and they cannot afford to go to the metropolitan cities to have management education or to have college education or to have any other type of education which will lead to a professionalism, which will lead to skills, and his ability or his capacity to get the employment will be enhanced. Today, the business people say that out of 100 graduates coming out of the colleges and universities, engineering, arts, commerce, science, hardly 30-35% or at the most 40% are eligible to be employed. So friends, try to understand that out of 100 which are coming out of the college, only 40% maximum are eligible to be employed. Others, industry want other people, other students. They want employees, trained employees, but they cannot employ them because their performance is not up to the mark in the interview or in the written examination, which business organizations take. They take, for example, State Bank of India takes a competitive examination. Tata Group takes a competitive examination. Many industries start business placement. But the students who come for interview, most of them are rejected because they do not have professional education. They do not have communication ability. They do not have analytical ability. They have mugged something written in the examination, and after that we have forgotten everything what we read, what we study. This is the this is the state of affairs of education, higher education in India, where the allotment of the government out of the GDP is very, very meager, very meager. The Indian GDP is about $2.8 trillion. Out of that very meager amount, less than 3% goes to education. And out of that 3%, only a fraction, less than 1%, goes to higher education. So most of the higher education is in the private sector, and in the public sector or in the government sector or the private sector, they don't get grant in aid. So higher education, nearly 80% is in private sector, is in the trust. In Maharashtra, you can see there are affiliated colleges, and these affiliated colleges are run by the different trusts. and not by the government, and not by the government. So we have to understand that all the private higher education is mostly 80%, 75% is in the private sector. So he thought that a boy from the Kolhapur or a girl from a Kolhapur cannot go to Pune, cannot go to Mumbai, cannot go to Calcutta, compete CAT examination and get selected into that. But they are very eager to learn. Our students coming from the Mafuzal area, that is rural area, they have very less money and their communication ability is very, very low. So he thought of starting a management education institute, and he, uh, under the leadership of Vasantdada Patil, he Vasantdada Patil, ex-minister of Chief Minister of Maharashtra, was the first president of Cyber Trust. He established what is known as Chhatrapati Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research. It is in brief known as Cyber. So cyber means Chhatrapati Shahu Institute of Business Education and Research. Now, what are the courses he started at that time? He started management courses. He started computer courses, computer studies. A social work department was inaugurated and a MSW course was started. Then computer studies were first started. They were not in the university, in Pune universities also. We started long back in 1984, Master of Computer Management, MCM, Master of Computer Management, which later on AICT converted into MCA. So he was a pioneer in professional education in Kolhapur, in South Maharashtra, or in the in North Karnataka. So students from all over the country flock to the cyber to join these courses. And cyber, I'm proud to tell you that nearly 500 students of ours under different courses who have completed different courses are working in a different capacities in abroad, and they are very successful in our country and the foreign countries also. In addition to that, for ladies, the cyber has started food technology courses, interior decoration courses, drake making courses, multimedia courses, and many other courses and education courses for teachers training program he has started. Cyber has continuously go, working on faculty development program, because we believe that faculty professors must be also trained. So AICT has sanctioned us nearly 10 faculty development program, and our faculty members are successfully recruiting. He made a first point, Professor A.D. Shinde, that to get a very good faculty for our students. So at the beginning in 1970s, 1976, 77, 80, the faculty were coming from Solapur, from Pune, from Bangalore, from Mumbai to take the classes. And slowly he recruited the faculties from this area, from Hyderabad, from Chennai, from you can say Kerala, and they are there. So you will find that on a merit base, the cyber has recruited the faculty, and these faculties have developed this academic excellence. So much so that in NAC accreditation, we have got A plus grade, which is rare. Now, when we are talking all these things, the new education policy is envisaged by the government. The government wants to implement new education policy 2020, and this new education policy is autonomous colleges and converting these autonomous colleges with high NAC grade into the university. So you will find in the short term cyber becoming the university, Shahu Maharaj University it will be in a future. in a future. I hope that our faculty members will make effort. So, what is the philosophy? Philosophy is what? Philosophy can be defined as the uh, uh, is a knowledge, is a branch of knowledge which studies fundamental questions faced by human beings. Say for example, human being face the problems. Who am I? Whether there is a God? How I should live? What should be my behavior with my friends? What is the family? What are the ethics of family? All these words or the rules of behavior are studied in philosophy, are studied in. So it is a fundamental which is ever growing, and it is a evolving branch of knowledge. So philosophy is a branch of knowledge which studies the fundamental questions faced by the human beings on this earth, and it has been studied from Plato onwards. It has been studied from Plato onwards. So, what is the philosophy? Sharmaji has given me the topic. What is the philosophy of the cyber? The philosophy of the cyber is to give, to make available the opportunities for the students who are from the weaker sections, who are from the Mafuzal area, who are from the rural areas, who are from the rural areas, and who are deprived of the opportunity. So, to provide the opportunities to the bright students coming from the masses, that is the, especially from the farmers families, that is the philosophy of the cyber. Or in the words of CK Prahlad, I can say that CK Prahlad has written a book that fortune at the bottom of pyramid. Is CK Prahlad, Dr. CK Prahlad, he is no more, but he was a professor at Harvard Business School, and he has written one fine book which is known as Fortune at the Bottom of Pyramid. So cyber is trying to find out the fortune. These young men are the fortune for this nation. So we have to train them, and we have to convert it into the human capital. We have to convert them into the human capital, and human capital is required for the growth of the economy. When the economic growth, there will be higher standard of living, there will be, say, more employment, there will be more employment opportunity, and all sectors of economy will flourish. Fortunately for us, since 1991, the reforms have been introduced, and all the sectors of economy, barring these 3 years of Corona pandemic, barring this period, our economy is continuously growing between 5% to 8% and giving the opportunities to the super. So much opportunities are there that people are required. The eligible people are required by the business. So our philosophy is to convert the weaker section, human beings, into a fortune of India. This is our philosophy. In our, say, emblem, there is a one, cyber is working on no profit, no loss. Cyber is not here to, say, make the profit. For example, we have distributed nearly 40 lakhs of scholarship to our students. Remember, I repeat again, those who are coming from weaker sections, those who do not get any chance of any scholarship, they are, there are bright students who do not get scholarship, who do not get economically backward scholarship, who do not get scholarship under reserved section, or any other aid they do not give. We give them scholarship up to 20,000 rupees. So every year our budget is nearly 35 lakhs to 40 lakhs for these young people, that we give in the form of concession in their fees. So our philosophy can be summed up in this Sanskrita shloka. Amantranam aksharam nasti. I repeat, amantranam aksharam nasti. Nasti moolam aushadam. Ayogya purusha nasti. Yojakastra durlabaha. I repeat again, amantranam aksharam nasti. असं कोणतंही अक्षर नाही की ज्याच्यामध्ये मंत्राचं सामर्थ्य नाही. देर इज नॉट अ सिंगल वर्ड विच डझंट कॅरी द पॉवर ऑफ मंत्रा. नास्ति मूलम औषधी. That means every root of the plant is has a medicine value. We don't know. We don't know that. But every root of a plant has a medicine value. Similarly, there is no Ayogya Purusha. What the shloka says? There is no Ayogya Purusha, there is no ineligible person, maybe lady, maybe gents. There is not ineligible. We have to make the environment available to him. I repeat again, we have to make the environment available to him so that he will be Yojakaha Durlabha. Yojakaha Durlabha. So cyber is making all efforts to make a good environment, good teaching environment, good studying environment, good teaching facilities, good infrastructure to our students, which is comparable to the infrastructure and facilities available in the National Institute or IIM that has been provided by the cyber itself at a very concessional fees, at a very low fees, I can say, at a very low fees. Say, for some of the courses, our fees are 10,000. For example, your MSc Quantitative Economics, our fee is nearly 25 to 30,000. I know, 25 to 30. Now about this, so this shloka says that Yojakastra Durlabha. So we want our students to be Yojak. Yojak means entrepreneur. Yojak means a person who makes a plan. Yojak means a person who organizes the thing. Yojak means a person who combines land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship and produces something. He is an entrepreneur. Sanyojak in Marathi we call Sanyojak. So our efforts are to make our students Sanyojak, to make our students good employees in the organization, so he can work in the organization and he can work in the team, he can give the leadership, and he can produce a synergetic effect in the organization. That is the meaning of Yojakaha. That is the meaning of Yojakaha. And making or building that Yojaka or training that young people from the rural areas, from the Kolhapur, from Sangli, from North Karnataka who are coming over here, and to make them a brilliant Yojaka is our philosophy. Another our philosophy is of the cyber is karmanneva adhikarasti ma phaleshu karat. When Arjun finds in Gita, it is given that when Arjun finds that Krishna says that now you fire your arrows on the Kauravas. He says that all his relatives are before him. So how he can fight? So he begs pardon to Krishna and says that Krishna, my lord, I cannot fight because they are all my relatives. And by killing them, what I will get? That kingdom. I don't want that kingdom by killing my relatives. The Krishna said that this is the karma you have to do. They are evils, and evils are to be abolished. So it is the karma. It is not you are doing, it is the God is doing. It is me, the Krishna is doing through you. You are a means to an end, you are not an end in itself. That is the meaning of. That means you work, and work, become workaholic, and the phala will follow you. When you get phala, when you get the fruit, you just arpan it, just give it to the God, just give it to the Almighty who is there. That is our philosophy. So here, our faculty members, our students, our staff, they are working, and they are trying to satisfy the needs and wants of our students. That is the our philosophy. Now the Let us come to now the economics. Your course is MSc Quantitative Economics, MSc Quantitative. Now you just see the subject economics is being taught in many colleges. Some students become graduate BA Economics, BA Economics. Okay. If we ask them some question, I don't say all are not good, but nearly as I earlier pointed out that the graduates coming out of the colleges and the university, only 40% are employed. This is the studies, that is the research has shown us. So if we ask today's graduate or some of the teachers that there you teach law of demand, and we see in the practice that you also now experiencing, because those who drive the scooter, they find that the petrol price has become 85 rupees per liter. Petrol price has become now 85. The gas prices are going up, but their demand is also going up. So gas price is going up. The demand for gas, demand for petrol, demand for diesel is going up. So this is against the law of demand which we teach in the class, which you teach or which you learn in the. So what is that law? The law of demand says that when price falls, quantity demanded rise and vice versa. When price falls, quantity demanded falls. When price falls, when price falls, quantity demanded rises and vice versa. This is the rule. But we say find that when prices of petrol are rising, gas are rising, and demand is also rising. So where is your law of demand? So they criticize that economics is common sense make difficult. What they comment? Generally it is comment that your economics is not applicable to actual practice. Economics is a common sense which professors or teachers have made difficult. I repeat again. So a old wise man will say that what is economics? Economics is a common sense which professors have made difficult. But that is not. Say these are the laws, economic laws or economic principle for human behavior. They are for human behavior. And the human behavior cannot measure exactly. It cannot be measured exactly. So I come to the guy, if there is a law of demand, if there is a law of diminishing marginal utility, if there is a law of maximum satisfaction of through utility, then there are some assumptions. And if we neglect the assumptions and see the law, then there will be a paradox. There will be a difficulty. So in the law of demand, we have to understand the basic assumption of the law of demand or law of diminishing marginal utility is that all other factors remain the same. What is that? All other factors which affect demand is a function of price. Demand is a function of income. Demand is a function of population. Demand is a function of national income. Demand is a function of ratio of urban population to the rural population. It is also a function of population. So there are n numbers of factors on the right hand side of a function, and on the left hand side there is a demand. When I study demand for apples, then I try to take only one factor, that is the price. All other factors, causal, they are known as the causal factors, are assumed to be constant, and then we study the law of demand. So just 1 minute. So point here is, when you have come for economics, basic thing you should remember is what are the assumptions of this problem, what are the assumptions of this theorem, or what are the assumptions of this economic law. Now economics is defined. and the definition is given by many authors. There are several definitions, but the most famous definition is given by Leonel Robbins. And what he says that economics is a science which studies human behavior. Remember, human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have alternative uses. Now, you must have learned this definition in your first year, those who have studied economics there, that there are unlimited wants, there are some resources, unlimited wants are also known as ends. Ends means objectives. So, unlimited wants, there are some resources which are used to use for the satisfaction of wants, and these resources have alternative uses. These resources, for example, time is a resource. Had I not come for the lecture, I would have used my time for some other, going to the garden, going to the restaurant, going to the movie, or talking with my grandchildren. That I would have. So there are n numbers of uses of any resources, but I can select only one. I have selected to come to this class, so all other alternatives I have sacrificed, and that what sacrificed is known as opportunity cost, is known as opportunity cost. So the alternatives which are not accepted, that is the opportunity. For example, say you have a, most of you are the farmer's son, so your father has a problem that whether to take sugarcane crop or to take paddy crop. This is the problem. If I take sugarcane crop, he says that I will have 40 tons of sugarcane. If I take, say, paddy, then I will have nearly 40 quintals of or 50 quintals of paddy. He decides to cultivate the paddy. So the opportunity cost of paddy is what is foregone, that is 40 tons of sugar. That is 40 tons of sugar cane. Now this concept is used. This concept is used. Say for example, India was before Green Revolution, there was a starvation in India and there was a shortage of food grain. The Revolution came, and as a result of that, we are one of the largest producer of uh, grains in the world. One of the largest producer of the grains in the world. But the ordinary farmer is still poor, and most of this on the verge of, on the line of poverty. So economics, in short, say we don't require such a long definition. We can say that we have certain objectives. Supposing you are a businessman and your objective is to maximize the total return, to maximize the total income, and to maximize the profit, to maximize the profit. So in order to do this, in order to do this, you use the resources land and labor. You use the resources land and labor, or capital and labor, and that is known as a production function in economics. That production is a function of capital and labor. Production is, and the relationship between that is known as the uh, is a production function. And in that production function, there are different laws of production function, and then the models are developed of production function. And most famous product is Cobb Douglas model, is which you will study in your MSc Quantitative Economics, MSc Quant. So point here is using the resources available to us. You may be businessman, you may be farmer, you may be principal of the college, you may be housewife, you may be a student, that how to get maximum from the given resources, that is what economics. So maximization of a function is economics. Maximization function is economics. So, but coming to our original point, the present graduates just study in the words. This is the law of demand. When price falls, quantity demanded rises. When price rises, quantity demanded falls. This is just it. Now, if somebody asks you and say, if the price falls by 1%, how much demand will increase? Can you tell me quantitatively? Can you tell me quantitatively? We cannot tell. Because unless we quantify the demand and unless we quantify the price and build up a model, we cannot tell us. So our students, present graduates, they don't know anything about the demand model. It is simple. It is very simple. And you go to the computer, computer gives you demand model, fill the data, result will be out. As an economist, you have to find out whether this model is to be accepted or to be rejected on economic theory and on statistically. Statistically. So it means that here in MSc Quantitative Economics, we are not going to make you statistician. We are not going to make you mathematician. We will just have an introduction in mathematics, in statistics, and your teachers will teach you how to develop a model, how to fill the data to the computer. When you give the data to the computer in the SPSS, there is the programs in the computer, SPSS and many other programs, and you can get the result. Now, whether those results given by computer are to be accepted or rejected, that as an analyst you have to suggest. So, through this MSc Quantitative Economics is a interdisciplinary course. I repeat again, MSc Quantitative Economics is a interdisciplinary course. It is not only in the arts. We draw from statistics, we draw from mathematics, we draw from behavioral sciences, that is psychology, and we study economics. We study economics, we study capital. Capital is one of the important factor now in economics. We learn in the papers that the in the last December, 63 rupees 63,000 crores have come to the stock market of India. Before that, it was 43 crores in the November, and before that, it was nearly 25,000 crores have come to the India. So from all over the world, dollar capital is coming to India. As a result of that, our stock market is booming. Yesterday, I don't know today, but yesterday the Sensex Bombay Sensitive Index was 45,500 and more. 45,000. And people say that this Bombay Sensitive Index will go. As an economist, as a MSc Quantitative Economics, or as a MA Economics from any university, are we understanding how capital market works? If the rate of interest is reduced, what will be its price of the government securities? If the government finance, now the present finance minister is giving lot of liquidity and banks are giving and Reserve Bank is giving lot of liquidity and government deficit is going to be nearly 12% of the GDP. As a result of that, money supply will increase. And the increase in money supply, increase in the liquidity. Liquidity means cash or karz or credit given to the different people. What will happen to inflation? What will happen to kimmatwad? What inflation means kimmatwad. So what will happen to kimmatwad? Why the market, our GDP has come down by 23%? When Corona pandemic came, and now by the end of 21 it will be minus 7.5, and we will be at an earlier level of 2019 year in the middle of 2022. So we are still today below the trend line of GDP. GDP means national income. Now, as an economist, Any student of economics should understand this. Should understand this. So now see the paradox here. A real economy is growing at a rate of say -7% now, or it is growing now may become -6, -5, and become 0, and then become positive, and so on. But the stock market is booming. Why it is booming? What will be its effect? And the real economy and the real economy means what is going on in the production in different industries on the farm and other sectors of the economy, railways, airplanes, etc. And what is economy is not growing at that rate, but the stock market is going, because the basic thing in the stock market is stock market works on expectation. What will happen after 6 months? On that basis, stock market is working. So as a result of that, the lot of funds from pension funds from America, foreign investment institutions are coming up to the emerging market. India is known as an emerging market, coming to Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, Bangladesh, and India, Brazil, China. To these countries are coming and they are investing their dollars there. As a result of that, stock market is going up. So that means if we take the help of mathematics, if we take up help of statistics, we can understand better. So that is we are using. So you don't get afraid of mathematics and statistics. Our teachers will teach you and computer will give you all the results. Only you have to feed the data, you have to analyze. So you have to become an analyst. You have to become analyst, and for analyst there are good opportunities of job. There are good salaries for that, provided you become eligible for that. Now, this type of course is available only in London, London School of Economics. And say in Calcutta University, this course is available, and Delhi University, this course is available. Professor Sharmaji and his colleagues have gone to studied all these syllabus of all courses. And considering the capacity of our students, considering our need, and we have introduced this new course, MSc Quantitative Economics, so that our students will get employment as an economist. Our students will get, say, employment as a business analyst. Our students will get, say, in the as a banker, you will get job as a banker, job as an insurer in the insurance companies, and so on. So in all modern sectors, skill of computers, some skill of mathematics, some of statistics is required. So there will be compulsory computer courses in MSc Quantitative Economics. And if you put a hard work, definitely you will be people, the business houses will hunt you for the jobs. So this is what I wanted to say. Now in this economics, there are, say, there are different functions are also that I have say, and there are different branches also of economics. I will just mention because we are running out of time. So there are various concepts in economics. So we make mistake sometimes. We study the law of diminishing marginal utility. There is one law in economics which is known as law of diminishing marginal utility. There is another law which is known as law of diminishing uh, variable product. Law of diminishing returns to variable factor. Law of diminishing, that is the law of production, which is known as law of diminishing returns to variable factor. So there is a land, 1 acre land, and we put on labor. As a result of that, production will go up. If the production will go up, you add 10 labor now. So then 11 production goes up. Then 12 production goes up. then you make 15, production goes up. Then afterwards you find that for every man's contribution goes on diminishing in the total. So there are three basic concepts in economics: average, marginal, and total. Average, marginal, total. Say for example, you want to calculate the revenue. Then revenue of a firm. Revenue means income. Supposing I have a chai gadi and uh, I have a kirana shop, retail shop, and I sell. Then what is my average revenue? The total income divided by quantity sold is average. What is my marginal? That is change in the quantity, change in the income divided by change in the quantity. That teachers will. That is marginal. That is marginal. And total means sum of that. When there is a law in mathematics, and that law we must remember that when marginal becomes zero, when marginal value of anything becomes zero, total is maximum. Totally. Supposing as a businessman you want to maximize your profit. Maximize your profit. Now, when you maximize the profit, what is the condition for maximization of profit? Then you find out when marginal profit will be zero. And when marginal profit is zero, the total profit will be maximum. When marginal revenue is zero, total revenue will be maximum. These are the simple things. Or there is a graph. And in mathematics language, it can be said that the condition of maximization is that first derivative. There is a some calculus also. Those who are students of mathematics, they will understand that there is a some calculus we will teaching you. And in that calculus, supposing the graph grows up, goes to the top, and then it falls. The top is the maximum. Top is so at the top, if you find the derivative, it is negative. So the condition of maximization, we say that the first derivative must be zero and second derivative must be negative. It means that in this course of uh, MSc Quantitative Economics, you will be taught how to maximize the revenue, how to maximize the profit. What are the conditions? What should be the price? What should be quantity? Then our total profit will be maximum. How to reach the optimum level? How to reach the optimum level? Optimum level means a firm has an optimum level. You have a 1 acre of land. In 1 acre, you cannot produce say 1,000 tons of sugar cane. In 1 acre, maximum you can get is 50 tons. So, what is the optimum size of that farm? How much land, how much labor, how much capital I should use to produce 50, and that 50 will be optimum size, because after that I have put the resources, there will be a negative return. There will be negative return. Instead of producing more than 50, it will decline. So when we reach the maximum, that is known as the optimum level. So this is in short. This then I will uh, because unless we use the back blackboard, this cannot be explained. So economics we study in a different way. So this major concept you remember. What I repeat again, when MR value, when marginal value is zero, total value is automatically maximum. Total value is, this is the basic principle. Then law of demand is there. In the law of demand, we calculate uh, uh, the uh, from law of demand we calculate the elasticity of demand. Elasticity of demand, and that elasticity comes negative. Negative meaning that, or if you plot the graph is uh, falls down from left to right. डावी बाजूकडून उजव्या बाजूकडे ग्राफ खाली येतो. त्याचा अर्थ असा की क्वांटिटी डिमांडेड आणि प्राइस ऑफ ए प्रॉडक्ट हॅज गॉट ए इनव्हर्स रिलेशनशिप or negative relationship. As a negative relationship. If you have a positive relationship, then the law of demand is not observed. Law of demand is not observed. Then the model is unspecified. This is the unspecified model. D is a function of P. I repeat again. D means demand is equal to F, that is function, into bracket P. Demand is a function of P. Then I write the demand. This is unspecified demand model. Then I write demand function as D is A minus 0.2P. D is equal to A. You can write on your notebook if you have. D is equal to A minus 0.2P. This is demand specific model. Now suppose computer gives you instead of negative sign plus sign here. Then as an economist you say that this model is wrong. So computer gives you 20-24 models of demand for the same data. Suppose you have 20 observations. You feed it to the computer in SPSS or in a regression analysis and you get say 10 models. Now each model you have to judge on economic theory. Supposing in demand model we have D is equal to A minus 0.2P. This model is correct as far as economics is concerned. Then you have to go to the statistics and you have to find out what is T study, what is T value. Statistics. What is T value? If these T values and significance values are acceptable, then the model is to be accepted. And R square is a coefficient of determination. It should be more than 90%. Then the model is accepted. These are some clear things which your teachers will teach you. Or if you have any difficulty, I will just rebrush my knowledge and I can tell you occasionally when I come to your class. So this sounds rather difficult at the beginning, but once you go get involved, you will be master of it. You will be master of it, and there will be no dearth of jobs. There will be no dearth of money. You can understand capital market also. When you become economics, you have to understand capital market. You have to understand money market. So money market and capital market, these are the two different. And there are two different theories also. Say about the about the money market and capital market. About the money market, one is known as the Friedman's approach to the money, and another is known as Keynesian approach, and is on Keynesian approach. So Friedman approach is that approach, management of money or monetary policy or the liquidity problem. All these, there is a economist known as a Friedman, and he says that the quantitative theory of economics is true in the long run, and that can be managed by interest rate. Banks change interest rate. Reserve Bank changes interest rate. As a result of that, security price of the government security changes, and bank interest rates also changes. Commercial bank interest rate changes. So this interest rate is very important. This was a Friedman approach. On the other hand, the Keynesian approach says that government should intervene when there is a recession in the economy. Government should come in and government should print the notes and give it to the public and spend it, so that what will happen, there will effective demand in the economy will be generated, and when the effective demand is generated, the the wheels of economy will start moving. Now today, in all over the world, there is a recession. Now, this recession has come, was earlier there, it was coming. But suddenly this COVID pandemic has come. COVID रोग आला आणि from from that economy has almost collapsed and went into great recession. A sort of a great depression has come. Now every country of the world is now spending, government are spending money. And that spending money, म्हणजे what is the income of the government? Say my salary is 20,000 rupees. And if I spend 30,000 rupees, this is my deficit financing. 10,000 is my deficit financing. माझा इन्कम 20,000 आहे आणि मी 30,000 खर्च करायला लागलो तर 10,000 वरचे हे डिफिसिट फायनान्सिंग आहे माझ्यापुरती अर्थव्यवस्था बघायची झाली तसं देशाची अर्थव्यवस्था बघायचं झालं ए कंट्रीज इन्कम एव्हरी कंट्री इन द वर्ल्ड नाऊ is following a deficit financing means they are spending more than their revenue. As a result of that, the objective is they are providing more, Reserve Bank is providing more liquidity to the economy. Government is giving different packages to the economy. Because the demand should be generated. The effective demand should come up and the country's economy should start developing. Country's economy should start. So this is in short. So I will just summarize in just in economics there are some of say for example there are some simple things which some of the economic student do not know. Say for example we say that our country is growing at the rate of 8%. What is the meaning of that? Everybody says it is growing at 8. But what is that 8? How it has come? It is nothing but a compound interest rate formula which we have learned in 8th or 9th standard. A is equal to, capital A is equal to P into bracket 1 plus R raised to N. That R is nothing but a growth rate, compound interest rate. चक्रवाढ व्याजाचा जो दर असतो त्या दरालाच ग्रोथ रेट म्हणतात मराठीत. चक्रवाढ व्याजाचा दर जो असतो आपण कॅल्क्युलेट करतो तसं जर ग्रॉस नॅशनल इन्कमचं कॅल्क्युलेशन केलं तर त्यातनं जे उत्तर येईल त्यालाच आपण ग्रोथ रेट म्हणतो. मग हा ग्रोथ रेट दिस ग्रोथ रेट if it is maximum it is good for economy, it is good for you, it is good for employment and it is good for those who are poor below poverty level, they will come above the poverty level. So my point is that this is a most of us you must master this quantitative economics. I will tell you one thing more. Even though you are 10 or 12 students, we will run this course. Institute have a difficulty. Institute is making loss in this course. But we are doing this because that is our philosophy. To train our students coming from the rural areas for the modern skills which are available to the metropolitan city students, those skills we are giving you. So you master this, then future is yours. You master this, future is yours. Everybody, one more thing is, you are economists, but you must also learn finance. You must also know how balance sheet is prepared. What is profit and loss account? Because when you go to the business, annual report is given to you. And in the annual report, there is a balance sheet and profit and loss account. So we will also teach you how to read the balance sheet. How to read the balance sheet, how is profit and loss account is prepared. So this is an interdisciplinary course which is most practical, which will come with you with a tremendous opportunity. And but the common man, though we are educated, if we are not educated properly in finance and economics, then we are economically illiterate. As a result of that, many people are deceived. Somebody comes and says, you invest 10,000, you invest 5 crores of rupees, we will give you 20% return. We will give 25% return. And people blindly, they Kadaknath Kombdi, you know, no, Kadaknath Kombdi. They said that we will purchase everything, you invest into this. So the ordinary farmers, they do not know economics of that. And we can double the money in 2 months, we can double the money in 3 months, we can double the money in one. That is not possible. That is not possible. There is a rule of, say, 72. In the investment, there is a rule of 72. 72 bhagile rate of interest. Remember again, 72 bhagile rate. Now the present rate of interest in the bank, if you go to the State Bank or Karnataka Bank, say that, what is the rate of interest? He will say that on your deposit, we will give you 6% or 7%, for calc, 7%. Then in how many years it will be doubled? So 72 divided by 7. 7 is the rate of it. So approximately it comes to 10 years. That means your money is doubled by the bank in 10 years. If somebody tells us that your money will be doubled in 3 years, he is fooling you. He is fooling you. And you should not go such type of investment. This jnana, this knowledge will come when you study this master MSc quantitative economics. So this is all. uh, I those who have come, for them I wish uh, uh, the good time over here. They have any difficulties, they are free to approach Sharmaji, they are free to approach Madam Saili and your teachers. Even if supposing your grievance is not um, got any solution, then you can approach me or our managing trustee, Dr. R. A. Shinde. He is available on every Tuesday and Saturday between 4 to 6. Okay, thank you very much. I don't know how much I have satisfied you, but I have tried to make it simple. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any questions from student side? Please unmute your mic and ask the questions. You can add the questions on
You
chat
can
box.
ask in Marathi. तुम्ही मराठीत सुद्धा विचारू शकता.
Yeah, students, it is a chance for you to interact with the trustee of our institution. You can feel free to ask anything related to the long-term plans of the institute, philosophy of the institute, or you can even ask something about the course of quantitative economics and all. Time is yours. Another 5 minutes, sir, will be available for the interaction session.
You can speak in Marathi. I have no problem. You must ask the question.
Yes, sir. Some of the students were asking about the placement support service that is being given by the institution. Can you just highlight something about it? Placement support service.
No, as far as placement, we had a placement officer, but now he has, due to pandemic, he has left, and we are searching for a placement officer who will help you with it. But our faculty members, Sharmaji, Saili, and some other faculty members, they will find you. At the beginning, you will get a job on some projects, but side by side, you have to appear for banking examination, insurance examination, and when the different companies come over here, you will be given a chance to appear before them, and you should prove there. But for that, you must have a communication ability. आपण संभाषण कौशल्य पाहिजे आपल्याजवळ, तरच आपण त्याच्यात सिलेक्ट होऊ शकतो. आता प्लेसमेंटचे सर्व एफर्ट्स केले जातील.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now, any questions from the participants and the new students? You may be feeling free to ask. Yeah, may I say that, okay, Miss Pooja Jadhav would like to ask something? Pooja Jadhav can unmute herself and ask.
How will quantitative economics help the farmers in the long run?
Okay, let sir give some example. Sir, the question is relating to use of quantitative economics for farmers.
For the
In the
farmers,
long run.
Farmers.
In the long
In the
run.
long run. In the long run, how it is useful.
for the farmers,
Yeah, in the long run.
they say quantitative economics is a special branch where interdisciplinary approach is concerned. The farmers can be benefited in what is known as use of ICT, information and communication technology to the farmer. That what is the temperature today, what is it will rain or not rain, what is a then government has आवाज जरा अच्छा होतो शर्मा जी आवाज जरा फुटले तर
नहीं नहीं
हाँ 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 I will tell you. Are you my voice is coming audible?
It yes, sir,
Um,
yes.
so I will say the use of agriculture to ICT, use of ICT to agriculture. ICT means information and communication technology. It includes computer, it includes your mobile, it includes radio, it includes TV, and all types of electronic gadgets which are used. First thing is farmer must know about the weather, about the temperature, about the water availability, etc., etc. So this modern technology can be used for knowing this. In addition to that, there is NAM, what is known as a National Agricultural Market. One platform is there, started by the government, NAM. And there, every day, in different countries, in the different mandis, bazar, different mandis, in different markets and sub-markets, what are the prices they are quoted. Supposing I want to sell my paddy, then what is the price of paddy in Mumbai? What is the price of rice in Mumbai? What is it in Chennai? What is it in other parts of country that you can know. So whether price is going up, if the price is going up, I will sell. Otherwise, I will not sell if I have capacity to sustain, capacity to. But unluckily, unfortunately, our farmers are very, very small and they have no capacity. That is, no capacity to make the stock of their produce. And stock is perishable. It cannot be stocked for more than 6 months because it should be kept in a scientific condition to increase its durability. That is why the farmers of Punjab now are insisting MSP. You tell us the minimum statutory price and purchase it. Because supposing if you go to the Jaggery market over here and you see how the auction goes on, Shahu market yard, sometimes your student should visit that, Sharmaji, Saili, your student, and show them how the purchaser are only few, 10, 15, and sellers are many. And everybody, sellers are in need of money. That is, farmers are in need of money. That is why, as the supply increases, the price level goes down of jaggery or good. Price level goes down. So, farmers can learn from economics that what is my cost of production. For example, we cultivate sugarcane here. You ask any farmer, what is the cost of production per ton on your farm? Nobody will answer it. You ask even the directors of the sugar factory or the employees, they cannot answer it because nobody estimates it. So we do not look at the farm as a business proposal. That is one thing. So what is my cost here and what will be my revenue? At least in this term, farmers should be trained. Farmers should be trained. Take the example of Amul or Gokul. There they are happy because this is example or ITC is example. ITC means Indian Tobacco Company. That is one private sector company which is purchasing raw materials from the farmers. Gehu, the wheat, etc., making them atta, Ashirwad atta, this atta, and selling and giving good price. And they have e-Chaupal. E-Chaupal means computers are kept in a village on a small room where farmers can have everything. What is his bill? What is the price of atta in different countries? What is the price of fertilizers? What is the price of this and that? So that e-Chaupal, then Amul, what is the price of my milk? That is already decided by the Gokul, and Gokul purchases it, and the Amul purchases it, and they are managed professionally. If they are managed professionally, then what is the surplus generated that can be diverted. One farmer alone cannot do it. They have to come together in a group and they should establish the business, small business, or say, take here the case of Pune, one dairy is there. Huh? Chitale dairy. No, they started in a very small room. Or in Kolhapur also there is one dairy, private sector dairy. They started in a very small way, but they are paying good price to the farmer. So farmer should know which is for giving me more price and they should be ready to. Which means giving me inputs, they should do. So our sugar factories just should not crush only the sugar cane. They should provide inputs to the farmers also. Because farmers are very, very small. What is input? They should give land analysis report, soil analysis report, how to irrigate. They should be educated that, and that can be educated through the ICT. They can be educated through ICT, and that is very essential. But for that, these cooperative leaders should be enthusiastic. But they are, unfortunately, they are more interested in politics than in educating the farmer. And that is the irony of it. So those who do not involve much in the politics, they are making very good progress of their cooperative sugar factories. Okay, thank you.
Oh, thank you, sir. Just to add on to what sir has said, we for the use of quantitative economics for agriculture, we have a separate paper in semester 3 called as agriculture economics, wherein we try to model or put the statistical transformation into the agricultural operations. It can be put up in the form of equations, and then we try to study details about it in during your course. We'll be explaining to you. One last question before we end. May I ask Parth Patil if he has any question? Yeah, Parth Patil can unmute himself. Would you like to put any? Yeah, trustee is available, so you
no,
can
sir,
just.
I don't have any doubt as such.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
So
no, sir, no, sir.
good. Okay, so you are confident about the course.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
good. That okay.
One thing I will add, at the beginning you will find it difficult because there is little of some mathematics and some statistics. But you need not worry about that. No derivation is expected from you. No formula learning by heart to you. Everything is there in computer. You have to just feed the data to the computer and get the result and interpret the result. Just like WhatsApp, you get many things, and which is not acceptable, you delete it. Similarly, computer will give you everything provided you provide the data to the computer, and you have to interpret that. You have the opportunity to be business. Now you see, I have forgotten, but I will tell you. Now you see, who is the uh, chief executive of TCS? Can anybody tell me? Who is the chief executive of TCS? Or who is the chief executive of Infosys? Or who is the chief executive of Google?
Yes, sir. Some have given the answer as Sundar Pichai.
Sundar Pichai. Now, if you look at these people, they are all Indians. Most of them are coming from Kerala, Madras, Bengal, Orissa, Andhra. You remember, I am repeat again. You look at those who are going abroad. Those who are going abroad, they have mastered. They have mastered computers. They have a good knowledge of statistics, mathematics, and finance. Good knowledge of, in addition to their subject, they are expert in, say, computers, software, and generating, writing the software programs for hospitals, for say railways, for government, for dairies, for textile mills. Say, take example of Geo. So all these things, if you find those who go into these organizations, they have mathematics, studied mathematics at some level, statistics at some level. They are also studied management, and they have studied in addition to that engineering also or finance also. So you have to have take interdisciplinary approach. If something, एखादी गोष्ट आली नाही म्हणून घाबरून जायचं काय कारण नाही. You ask the teacher, you ask your colleague and get the knowledge, or go to the computer, go to the Google. Answers are readily available to you. Answers are readily. For example, I have forgotten what is known as, there is in a research methodology chi-square test for testing the hypothesis. For example, if I write the hypothesis, all our MSc quantitative economics boys are good. This is my hypothesis. Hypothesis means a preliminary relationship which is to be tested. Then first we write null hypothesis that these students are not good. Alternative hypothesis is known as H1. These students, being statistics, mathematics, and economics, are very useful. Then null hypothesis, the chi-square test is there, and with that it is tested. So if you go to Google, Google explains what is chi-square test, all the tests. Instead of wasting your time on what is that, WhatsApp, go to the Google, get the information, go to the book. For example, there is one book in our library, and I have just written the name of that book, Singh and Sancheti. Sancheti statistics पुस्तक कोण, Sancheti आणि Kapoor. Sancheti and Kapoor, all these things, models, in a short way are given. मॅडम तुम्ही लक्षात ठेवा, संचेती आणि कपूरचं जे मोठं पुस्तक आहे त्याच्या शेवटी all these models are giving. Say, economics is, दोन इकॉनॉमिस्ट असले तर त्यांची चार ओपिनियन असतात. रघुराजन says one thing, Das says another thing, finance minister says third thing, and we say fourth thing. Because this is the science of human being. And things are continuously, variables are continuously changing. World is a lab. And in this lab, variables are changing. So what you say today may not be true in tomorrow. So for that, you must be voracious reader. Voracious reader, studious, and you should form the group and study and not individual study. That is what I think required. You should not get afraid. Slowly you will master it. ते एकदम काय म्हणतात की तूप खाल्ल्यावर रूप येत नाही असं मराठीत आपण म्हणतो ना. म्हणजे मी एमएससी क्वांटिटेटिव्हला गेलो म्हणजे मला सगळं आता स्टॉक मार्केट आयुष्य घातलं लोकांनी तरी त्यांना कळत नाही. असे लोक आयुष्य घातलं व्हाय इट इज सो अँड वेट ही विल क्रॅश. माय प्रिडिक्शन इज दिस स्टॉक मार्केट इज विल क्रॅश. वेन आय डोंट नो बट इट इज गोइंग टू हॅव ए सिव्हिअर करेक्शन. तसं हे माणसांच्या वागण्याचं शास्त्र असल्यामुळं 100% बरोबर काही आपल्याला सांगता येत नाही याच्यात. हे सगळे फ्युचरचे अंदाज असतात. हे फोरकास्टिंग असतं. आणि आणि त्यामुळे तुम्हाला ह्या विविध प्रत्येक उद्योगाला आज इकॉनॉमिस्ट पाहिजे आहे. प्रत्येक छोटा असो मोठा असो इकॉनॉमिस्टची पोस्ट आहेच तिथं. म्युच्युअल फंडात आहे. यू कॅन गेट जॉब इन म्युच्युअल फंड. You can get the job in stock market. One our MBA student is is the assistant chief executive of Bombay Stock Exchange. Many of our students have started their own brokerage firms. You can become. So training and on training learning is very, very important. Such type of course is not available even in Pune University or any nearby university. Remember, this is comparable to the MSc Economics, London School of Economics. तुम्ही लंडन स्कूलच्या बरोबरचा कोर्स करतात. मी असं म्हणणार नाही त्याच्यापेक्षा चांगला आहे असं नाही म्हणणार, पण निदान त्याला कम्पेअर करता येईल असा कोर्स करतात. तिथं गेला तर फी तुम्हाला 10 लाख आहे, तिथं फी तुम्हाला फक्त 25,000 ते 30,000 आहे. त्याचा तुम्ही ह्या सुवर्ण संधीचा फायदा घ्या, एवढंच मला म्हणायचं आहे. थँक्यू व्हेरी मच.
Thank you, sir, for your encouraging word for our new students and giving us the clarity about the philosophy of cyber. If there are no questions, I think I may request Saili madam to propose the vote of thanks.
Okay. So I would like to thank Dr. TVG Sharma, Head of Economics Department, C Cyber Kolhapur, for arranging this foundation class. Further, I would like to thank Dr. V.A. Milge, former Director, Advisor, and Trustee of C Cyber Kolhapur, for giving such a knowledgeable lecture. Sir told us about our growth of economy and how we can take advantage of this situation and how the cyber education scheme was worked. Sir also talks about real life application of economics and how our mathematics and statistics play very important role in that. So thank you, sir. Last but not the least, I am very thankful for our students for their presence. Here we leave the meeting. We meet tomorrow morning for our next foundation class. Goodbye. Have a nice day.